today.
OK, thanks, Mark. Let's have a look at the rest of the news this morning. Here's Charlotte.
Thanks, Stephen. Britain's foreign policy is set for a shake-up with greater emphasis on so-called emerging economies. The Foreign Secretary, William Hague, will outline what he calls a distinctive policy.
He looks a bit, well, almost shell-shocked afterwards, doesn't he?
I think you would be,
You
though,
would
wouldn't
be.
you?
No, it's no criticism at all. I'd be absolutely... I wouldn't know what to say.
And I bet that doesn't happen very often, actually, that people say to her, you know, this is what happened all those years ago. But you wonder whether she does remember these things, don't you? She must meet so many people, mustn't she?
But I'm sure she'd remember an incident like that. I know there's some pictures of the letter that was sent from Buckingham Palace on the website as well.
No, it's a lovely story.
It's a great story. Lovely. Charlotte, thank you. We'll see you in just a moment, but let's have a look at some... Very good morning. You're watching Sky News Sunrise. Stephen Dixon with you live through until 9 o'clock this morning. Still to come, we'll take you through the papers with James Whale from LBC. Good to see you.
Morning, Stevie.
We're just going to have a chat... before we have a chat, rather. Get me words out. We'll have a chat in a minute,
We'll have a
James.
chat in a minute.
And we'll read through some of the emails which you provoked last hour as well. Lots of them coming
Surely
through.
not.
Afraid so.
I can't believe that.
Before we do that, let's just run through the main stories this morning. Let's have a look at the rest of the news this morning with Charlotte.
Thanks, Stephen. Within the last half an hour, the food group Tate & Lyle's just announced the sale of its historic sugars business to an American rival. It's been sold to American sugar refining.
Maggots are usually white, aren't they? Or if you go fishing, you get them coloured. But they were very pink, maggots.
Who knows what they've been rambling around in.
Did I mention that, really? Do you know?
Well, it's worth,
That's interesting.
It's worth
you could probably go to university. Right.
Let's talk about MPs.
Let's talk about MPs' expenses, shall we? MPs are in open revolt. MPs are revolting, you might say. Shameless MPs last night threatened to veto the budget of Parliament's new independent expenses watchdog in an extraordinary bid to force it to relax its tough regime. Listen, guys, you've been on the gravy train, you know what's going to happen, you're not going to get... The only thing I would say is I want to know how much this new organisation, the independent... It's not independent, it's based in Parliament, paid for by us. The Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority, I want to know how much they're getting paid and how much whoever's at the top of it's getting paid.
Well, that's the key point that's upsetting a lot of MPs, that they can get no answers out of IPSA. I mean, I know a lot of MPs are really upset with the way it's all being handled.
You know, you've got to get... Listen, these guys, Phil Wooler should be ashamed of himself for heckling. Labour MP Helen Goodman, Sharon Hodgson and Adrian Bailey all have been heckling and being... you wouldn't even let me read out what they actually said, would you?
No.
Not
before 9 o'clock tonight,
Not before 9
James,
o'clock tonight. OK, I'll come back at 9 o'clock.
Let's move on to the star, if we can. Which Tory wants to ban the burqa?
You know, this is getting so boring, isn't it? Banning the burqa. And who is this guy, Tory MP, who Phil Holborn? I know I've never heard of Philip Holborn. Have you?
I have to say I haven't. Is
no,
he new intake?
No. OK. Well, I presume he wants to get a bit of publicity because, you know, they all want to be well known and then they can follow poor old Lembit Opik out of Parliament and into the comedy circuit. But, you know, if we're going to start telling people what they can and cannot wear, let's do it. Let's not mess around, let's do it. If you're in a shopping centre or somewhere, you're not supposed to wear a hooded top or a baseball cap in some pubs, right? And if you're going to go out, because we live in a time when people are very suspicious, you can't cover your face. Just say the word, no facial covering in this country, and let's get on with it. OK? That's fine. Yeah. And then we don't have to... You know, these MPs trying to make a little bit of publicity for themselves.
After that shopping centre where hoodies were supposedly banned, I always wear a hoodie when I go.
Yeah, because you're an annoying person, Steve, aren't you?
And I've never been stopped yet.
Because they laugh and they say, who's that child wearing a hoodie?
So who's that old man?
There you
with
go.
a
Maybe you should wear a burqa
on?
next time in that case.
Yeah, but wear a burqa, report back.
Yeah. See if anyone stops me. To the Daily Mail, a gypsy blockade.
Yeah, this annoys me intensely. It's like those people who are creating the ISA. On my radio show on LBC the other day, I talked about this. You know, what's happening in Parliament Square, this so-called democracy village, this so-called peace camp, this total eyesore, this blight of scruffiness in the middle of our town. And they just camped there and they can't be moved. They can't be moved, they get a court order and then they appeal and they can't be moved. Gypsies, of course, here have for apparently 2 months villagers around this village. It's a village called Meriden, it's near Coventry, and they've moved diggers in now. They haven't got permission to build on this site, but the travellers whatever you want to call them, they've gone and they say, oh, we need running water. They're illegally camped here, and the council, because they're scared to say anything, have actually allowed them to bring diggers in and lay on mains, water and drainage. Now, either we have one rule for all or no rules at all. I'm fed up with this, because if they can build anywhere they like, Charlotte and I are going to start building a new, we'll build a...
We can build a farm.
She's got a big garden. We'll go and build a new housing estate in your garden.
Oh, thanks for that. That'd
be
lovely.
On that farm, those goats that you want.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a whole other story. Let's talk about getting a medal.
Here's the funniest story of all, OK? Blair has won the Liberty Medal for services to humanity. It's for bringing peace to the world. Look at that gormless grin of Tony Blair. He's got so much money. Can we put that picture back up? He's got so much money. You'd think he'd get that tooth fixed, wouldn't you?
It's an old picture, though.
Well, I think it's quite a new one, isn't it?
No, that's an old one.
Has he? Well, that's great. Anyway, never mind. We won't argue about that. Stevie, tell him who your dentist is, and then he can spend some of his massive amounts of money on that.
Yeah, well, my Dr. Nick.
Great teeth Stevie's got.
Yeah, well, you know, they're God-given.
So I just don't understand. What has he done for the world that he gets a peace medal? Well, him in America. Now, this is my favourite story.
I was going to say, if you want to scrap a few laws, James.
Yeah, well, Nick Clegg is coming on every I suppose I might interview him later about this. You'll be interviewing him later,
hopefully.
yes. He wants to know what laws... Well, I want all the laws relating to parking got rid of, OK? No traffic wardens, waste of money. Let people park, first come, first served,
but there'd be carnage.
Why?
The streets would be in chaos.
No.
You
can't park on double yellow lines, but where there's a parking space, you park. You know, never mind about this. Anyway, so here we are. Here's a couple of good ones. Do you want to get rid of this? Obstructing staff from the Adult Learning Inspectorate. Now, that was made something you couldn't do. Right? Don't look at me like that. This is what the Labour Party brought in, 4,300 new laws. Here's another one. Here's another one.
Go on.
Willfully pretending to be a barrister is now illegal. You get prosecuted for that. OK?
That sounds sensible.
Yeah,
here's another good one they put into law, right? Well, come on.
Go on, just quickly, James.
Causing a nuclear explosion is now illegal.
Well, you know...
So there we are. Nick Clegg wants to know what laws you want removed.
I don't think they'll get rid of that one. James, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, guys.
Now, we all know that Britain is battling... Great stuff. Fingers crossed for Team Sky this year. Let's catch up with Jackie. She's down at Wimbledon. Morning, Jackie.
See you in a bit.
Don't go anywhere yet, Jackie. The emails are coming in.
Yeah, we've got one for you, actually, Jackie, from M. Fitzpatrick. Where does Jackie live? In Kew Gardens hothouse. She always looks frozen when outside. Tell her to turn her heating off in April and not put it back on till October. Then she'd get used to the weather in England.
No, most people are not out at the time I'm out. You think it's sunny and it looks all sunny on the telly. That's the trick of telly. But actually, it's really cold.
There you go.
Yeah,
oh, bless her. It's about 16 degrees with a light southerly wind. I mean, it is misty, to be fair. There's a little area of mist, and, you know, it's not that great, but, you know, she's got nothing to complain about. It could get up to 29 today. 29 Celsius in the southeast.
Sky News.
Let's have a look at the other news this morning. Here's Charlotte.
Thanks, Stephen. Within the last hour, the food group Tate & Lyle has announced the sale of its historic sugars business to an American rival. It's been sold to American Sugar Refining for $211. Oh, what a lovely moment. He looked really pleased to meet it, didn't he?
His father would have been so proud as well, wouldn't he? Great. It's nice to have a positive story, a nice story like that, isn't it?
Yeah, the personal touch.
Quite right, too. Charlotte, thank you. Let's have a look at some of the news.